Garden Report is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
Hey, Bobby Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report. Third practice of training camp in the books. Celtics going to get an off day tomorrow. And today we heard for the first time in camp from Neemias Queta, Dalzell, here from Boston and SB Nation. We are powered by Game Time and Prize Picks. Queta talking about growth defensively. You saw him taking some threes today, which was interesting to me. And overall, just continuing to grow within the system that the Celtics play in, as Joe Mazzulla discussed as well here. Some positive signs, I think, in Summer League and from his growth that we've watched since they signed him about 1 year ago, pointing toward him potentially playing a little bit with Kristaps Porzingis out. I don't think we're going to see Queta on the average night due to Luke's presence and Xavier and Horford, but he's another one of the guys like we talked about last time. Do you try to funnel him some minutes? Do you try to push his development a little bit? Because there's clearly some intriguing things that he can provide if you just allow him to make some mistakes and work through some things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that he's a guy that has an opportunity right now, right? It doesn't mean that he's going to get significant minutes or he's going to do anything crazy, but there is a clearer pathway for him than most of the other players that are deeper on the bench to get some early minutes. And it's because of Kristaps Porzingis. It's because we know Xavier Tillman, even though I do think he'll probably be better off since the knee scope, but like there is still a knee thing that's there that's probably good. They're going to watch his minutes and his rest and everything like that. So I think Queta's in a really good position where he's on a championship team, obviously. He has some financial assurance and guarantee, but also he actually does have a pathway to contribute. And I would imagine like early on, at least, we do see that. Joe was asked today about the rotation and if he's given it any thought, and I think that he's not going to say anything in advance, but I could see him getting some early minutes. It's between him and Luke, and I think that battle was kind of back and forth at points last season.
Here's Neemias talking about his comfort in year 2 in Boston.
Yeah, I feel a lot more comfortable out here. Having a year on my back around these guys, around the facility and all the organization, it's very easy to get accommodated like that. Not that I wasn't when I got here, but it just feels way more natural. It feels like home. So I'm just excited for this year. Like I'm getting more comfortable around them. These guys are getting better. I'm getting better. So it should be a great year.
So like you just mentioned, I think he does have the straightest path to minutes among all the younger guys, unproven guys we've talked about, because Porzingis is out. That might not guarantee it on any given night, but say Kornet goes down, all of a sudden he's in the mix for minutes, as we saw last year. Horford will have, I think, 3 nights off with back-to-backs in the early going there. So those nights almost certainly point toward him playing a little bit. So I like the production he had in those spots they threw him in per 36 last year. I think he was like 16, 13, and 2. And with the finishing and with some defensive improvement, I think he's in a good spot. Now, he's not better than Luke. Joe even said that today. Luke's just been here so much longer, knows the defense so much better. But he is a guy and has shown enough at this point where I do want to see them start to invest in him, develop him, because who knows if Luke's here beyond this year. Xavier, you get the physical questions, and he's even here only 2 years. You got to start to think about what this position's going to look like long term. And Queta's still young enough, has enough promise to think he could be the center of the future here with enough development.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll say, we were talking about Lonnie Walker, and I think when it was the first question that Brad Stevens got, and he was very lukewarm about it. He didn't say anything super definitive either way. Every time that Joe or Brad has been asked about Queta, they've really sung his praises. Like I think from the beginning when he was just on a 2-way and he was back and forth from Maine, they saw that he had a lot of potential and that they wanted to invest in him. And so that's why that multi-year deal wasn't really much of a surprise. I think between the 3 players that were entering free agency, him, Luke, and Xavier, he was the one that I was the most confident they were going to re-sign just because of everything that kind of had signaled in that direction. And he's comfortable not playing. I do think that he's not somebody that you're worried about him having an attitude. He's been very clear that he wants to prioritize winning. There were moments last year where he was totally out of the rotation and it didn't seem like he was disrupted by that. But yeah, there's things about his game that are so encouraging, like the offensive rebounding, the fact that he's a lob threat. Like there's things that I think separate him from some of the other, players in his position. That if he can put everything together, there's a really high ceiling.
Yeah, physically, he's on another level with the 250 pounds, 7 feet. He can be a dynamic guy out there. You've seen him switch on the players. Joe mentioned that being a potential part of his game, playing in all the different defensive coverages that they have, along with the rebounding, the scoring. It's all there, and they were fortunate to have him. I still can't believe a year ago that the Kings let him go, and he came here, and he was hurt then. And now this time around, I think we said in another video, Xavier had surgery, Luke had surgery. Kate is the one who had the full summer, time to improve. I think he worked with Tony Dobbins, he mentioned today. So I'm looking forward to him, probably second behind Sharman when it comes to the younger guys and guys that we're looking at. And both of them might have a path to minutes here. I wrote about that on CLNSmedia.com. Go check that out and show some love to our sponsors. Game Time, use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And Prize Picks, use the code CLNS over there for a bonus going into the weekend's football games. For Noah Dalzell, I'm Bobby Manning. This has been the Garden Report. Hey, Bobby Manning here. If you made it this far, you probably enjoyed this video, so subscribe, turn on notifications, and check out our social media platforms at Celtics CLNS.